welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danika Foley. With me, we have Michelle Schexnayder, who is the Justice of the Peace. That is Ward 5, District 51. And it is a pleasure to have you here because she's just not any Justice of the Peace. She is the first African-American woman in that ward to be elected to that seat. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, first and foremost, tell me, how did it feel being elected to that seat and making history at the same time?
You know, I'm still kind of numb to it because it's work. So I haven't really feel like, celebrate this big thing or whatever.
I guess
I'm
just
humble,
us media, huh?
yeah.
We're like making a big deal of it.
I'm just humbled.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. So when you were thinking about this, you're like, I want to go out for Justice of the Peace. And of course, we'll talk about exactly what a Justice of the Peace, your duties are. Why did you run for this position?
I went to school for criminal justice and working for Patterson Police Department for over 6 years. I liked, law, and I knew eventually that I wanted to do that, full time.
Okay. Now, of course, I think of a Justice of the Peace, and most people think they just do weddings, but that's not the truth. What do your duties entail?
My duties are a lot. I do weddings as well. I marry people. I also take charges for plaintiffs whenever they come to me for charges. I hear landlords for evictions. I have meetings with them as well. So I notarize to a certain extent. I also do lawsuits.
Okay. So you're really like you're a judge to some extent.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you say you hear plaintiffs, you actually hear both sides of the cases.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Awesome.
I do.
Now, so where do you hold court?
I hold court in the city of Patterson. The mayor allows me to use the city of Patterson courtroom, and that's why I held my courts at.
So I guarantee a lot of folks don't know that this is what a Justice of the Peace does. How busy or not busy are you?
I'm extremely busy.
Okay.
I'm extremely busy. I hear cases, just a little part of their case. I take phone calls, I answer questions, and that's free. Anybody can call with a question, and if I can help, I'll help them, or I'll point them to that person who can help them.
Now you say you're extremely busy. So is this like a 9-to-5 job where I could just walk up to your office?
No, you can't do that. I actually work full time, but I have a secretary who takes my calls, and I call back after I leave my full-time job.
Now, of course, when you were thinking about doing this, did you know exactly, or were you kind of like ignorant like the rest of us?
Yes.
Did you know this is what it did, or did you have to do research? How did you find out all the details?
Actually, I was ignorant to the fact, just like everyone else. I just thought of, okay, Justice of the Peace, you marry. Mm-hmm. I knew about a little notary. I knew about doing like license plates and,
Okay.
tax, the paperwork, transferring paperwork. But to the extent that I'm in now, no, I never knew.
Are you happy you made this decision?
At first, I was like, what did I get myself into?
Uh-huh.
And but I like law, so I like it. It's good to do something that you like.
Exactly. If you do something you like, you never work a day in your life. Is that right?
That's what they say.
Yeah, that's right. I know you're just getting started. And you kind of
Yes.
got to get your feet wet. And at this point, you have about how many cases you're hearing?
I have heard 13.
13 so
far.
Okay.
And I know I have some more, that's coming that I'm actually waiting on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think a lot of people know this. If you're trying to file a lawsuit between the areas, and make sure that I'm clarifying this, so your ward covers Calumet to a portion of Bayou Vista.
That's correct.
So if you are in that area, she's the person to talk to. You don't necessarily have to go to a courthouse. You can actually contact Michelle Schexnayder, who is the newest Justice of the Peace, because you just were elected, and you're again getting your feet wet. But do you have to have a criminal justice background? Because you having that definitely has given you a leg up, I'm sure.
You don't, but I recommend that you have some knowledge of law. You have to, and I think that's what has carried me and helped me thus far.
Right. And I know with COVID, I want to know if there's been any type of additional training. We'll talk about that when we come back, because I'm sure there's folks at home like, I never knew this. This is like just kind of one of those shows where you learn so much, and I'm happy to have you here to kind of answer the questions that many of us ignorant folks didn't know about. So come on back right here on The Voice of the Coast with yours truly. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, I am your host, Danika Foley. With me, we have Michelle Schexnayder, who is the newest. She is also the first African-American woman to be in that position of Justice of the Peace for Ward 5, District 51. And that is from Calumet to portions of Bayou Vista. Get to know her face because, of course, she's going to work. You've held already or heard 13 cases so far. Did not know all the duties of what a Justice of the Peace did, and we're going to talk more about that. But I want to know for folks who are at home saying, well, I have a lawsuit or I'm thinking about doing a lawsuit. Most people go to a court. What's the advantage of going to you versus going to the courthouse?
You can meet with me. Long as you're, I can only take the cases up to $5,000. You will have to go, if anything over that, you will have to go to the 16th Judicial to file a lawsuit.
Okay. And what are the type of cases you're able to hear? Are they all civil? Can it be criminal? What exactly?
I can hear civil. I can hear criminal. Portion of the criminal case, I always investigate everything that when it comes to those kind of cases, to, talk to our local, police stations.
Yeah, so you kind of have an advisory, like people who will be like advisors to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, do you have an office space? I know you mentioned that you have a secretary, but like, do you hold outside of the court? Are you able to meet with people? Where do they go to meet with you?
I use one of the rooms at the police station. The chief of police allows me to come in and use one of the office they have, and I meet with clients there.
Okay.
Some plaintiffs, yes.
So do you expect, I know we're in this whole COVID era, this has really kind of put a hindrance on a lot of face-to-face and, interaction from folks, but do you plan on maybe getting an office space eventually of your own?
Yes, that's my plans on kind of looking for that,
right?
Office space.
Okay, now take me back when you got that phone call from your opponent, who was also the incumbent for that position, and he called to tell you that he was resigning from the position. He was not going to run again, or he ran but withdrew his name from the ballot. Tell me, just kind of take us back to that, because that kind of, I'm sure, threw you for a loop a little bit, huh?
Yes, it did. Coming home from work, and got a phone call from a usual number. I wasn't going to pick the phone up, and it's not familiar. I picked the phone up.
I'm with you. I do that too. I don't know this number.
Picked the phone up, and he spoke. He said, "Hi, how are you? This is David." And I was like, "Hi." And then he said that he was withdrawing. I was like, "Okay, wow." I was nervous. I was like, "Okay." Like I didn't know what to do after that. I was just shocked.
So pretty much your campaigning I'm sure just kind of went to, very less campaigning, right?
Right, because you geared up, everything is in level. So, you got 2 weeks left, and then it was over.
Yeah.
So
I know you said you have a position that you work outside of this. You actually have a full-time job. So when are clients or plaintiffs able to meet with you?
From 2 to 5.
Okay. 2 to 5, and is that daily, Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday.
Okay, give us a number. Where can folks contact you?
985-992-5318.
You kind of holding back. That's a good number?
I don't know.
You don't know?
That's the thing. Okay. 5813. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
That's all right. 5813. So we'll give the number one time. That's 985-992-5318. 5813, and that is how you get in touch with Michelle Schexnayder. And she, of course, she is the Justice of the Peace, and her area is from Calumet to portions of Bayou Vista. If you're wondering if you should go to her, if you're trying to get married, call her up again, 992-5813. And thank you very much. And look, you have about 30 seconds left for folks who are, I always tell people you have young girls, young boys who look up to people. When you're the first that has to say something, has to mean something. Anything you'd like to say to those who are watching, who see you as an inspiration?
Well, just follow your dream. If you love something, pursue it. Push through. Sometimes it gets hard, but you can always persevere.
Awesome. Very much thank you, and very good advice. Well, come on back. We have much more to cover right here on The Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danika Foley, and with me we have a very, very new face, and actually his position has no one from Wildlife and Fisheries has ever been here, so I'm so happy to have Corporal Jake Darden, who is an enforcement agent with Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries. He's here on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Very welcome, my pleasure.
And let me tell you something. So, of course, when I think about Wildlife and Fisheries, I think fish, bears, search and rescue. But there's so much more, right? Kind of break down some of the divisions.
Very common response.
Yeah.
As far as wildlife and fisheries, but people don't realize all the different divisions that we have. So I work for the enforcement division, which is exactly what it says. We enforce state and federal laws specific to wildlife and fisheries, fish and game, boating. However, we are certified. We go through all the same training as any other state police officer, throughout the state. So legally, we can enforce all state laws that are on the books. Public safety issues, no matter where they're at or what's going on, if it's a public safety issue, you will see us step in. Obviously, we're not going to focus on certain things, traffic violations, knocking on people's doors to go handle domestic disputes, complaints, things along those lines. However, if we witness these things at a gas station or driving down the highway, in a boat, yes, at a camp, anything along those lines, we're obligated by law. We have to step in and handle business.
Right. Your job is to protect and serve.
Absolutely.
So if you are speeding on the road, just because you see Wildlife and Fisheries on the side does not mean he cannot pull you over and give you a ticket. I have been in situations where I've seen a unit from Wildlife and Fisheries, and folks are just going. And I guess they're like, can't do me anything. Yep. You're Wildlife and Fisheries.
Yep. It clearly states it on the vehicle, too, state law enforcement.
Wow.
And like I said, just because somebody passes us up doesn't mean that we're going to stop them.
Right.
However, if something's blatantly obvious and putting people's lives in danger, including their own, then we're going to step in. We're going to handle it.
Okay. So kind of tell me a day in the life of Corporal Jake Darden. Are you on the water? Do you have an office space?
So it's a little bit of everything. We are extremely diverse in our job and our duties. It can go from one extreme of absolutely nothing and boredom to right, hands-on fighting somebody for your life.
Oh, wow.
At the change of a hat.
Okay.
We cover so much area, not only in the woods and waterways, but we have to travel the highways to go get where we're going to go patrol as well. Yeah. So typical day, honestly, it changes, especially in St. Mary Parish along the coast, it changes throughout the seasons. Yeah. Wintertime is one thing, and it's not just that one activity. However, predominantly it's going to be hunting. Yeah. But along with hunting is a lot of boating traffic, which brings recreational boat accidents, which brings search and rescues, which brings night hunting, illegal hours, complaints. We have commercial activity that doesn't stop. You have commercial fishing, shrimping, oystering, yes, crabs, all these things we regulate, we enforce, we patrol for. And that's not including your businesses, interstate commerce. We're responsible for all of that.
Now, this is definitely something everyone pretty much knows about. If you live in South Louisiana, you have either been on a boat, seen a boat, want a boat.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course, you are responsible for teaching boater safety education. Yes. And actually coming up on Saturday, April 24th, they do have their Lagniappe Day. And if you'd like to participate, go ahead and register for your local area, wherever you may be, and the address is on your screen. So I want to ask you something, it just blew my mind. Now, I got my license, I think I was maybe 15 or 16 when I got my license. But you can be 10 years old and you can drive a boat.
Yes. So you can drive a boat before you're 10 years old. It's just the boating safety education class, you have to be 10 years old to receive a completion certification. So if you have an 8-year-old child who's perfectly capable of attending the class and passing the class,
Yeah.
they're more than welcome to come. They just won't receive that certification.
Right.
That 8-year-old, same 8-year-old can go drive a vessel. It's not against the law to be less than 10 years old driving a vessel. It's just 10 years old to receive that certification.
Wow.
So a lot of times you'll have, and I'm at the point where I'll teach my children,
Yeah.
even though my little boy, he's not 10, I'll start teaching him how to drive. With somebody who's 18, they can accompany that person in teaching them how to
Right.
drive.
Exactly. Look, I just learned how to ride or drive a zero turn. So I'm a city girl. I'm learning. But I think that's great. We're going to talk a little bit more about Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Come on back right here on the Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, I'm your host, Danika Foley. With me, we have Corporal Jake Darden, who is an enforcement agent with Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries. So happy to have you here again. I
Yes,
want to
ma'am.
talk a little bit more about this boating education. Like I told you, I just learned how to drive a zero turn, but I'm seeing these young kids who are able to maneuver a boat, and I think it's great. I think that it's also awesome that this could really be a family event. So bring all the family to the boating education Lagniappe Day.
Yeah, so right now I have it set at 30 seats, and that was the capacity I was allowed. And we're gonna give away food, and we're gonna give away trinkets, things along those lines. That's what's special about this day. So it encompasses the boating safety education course on top of those extra items.
Right.
So we'll provide some food and some drinks and, Lagniappe items.
I mean, with this pandemic, everyone has gone to the virtual platform. It's good to know that there's some in-class instruction.
Absolutely. And we backed
Yeah.
off of it a little bit,
Yeah.
but we're back teaching.
Now, is there social distancing for those
Yes.
who definitely want
Yeah,
to
we will
be?
practice social distancing. Masks can be required. I mean, everything like any other public place, it's going to be the same. It's just, of course, I'll be further away than 6 feet, so I can
Right.
remove my mask, I can teach. If we
Right.
space them out, just like students, they'll be fine. And we'll go from there.
Now, of course, you being enforcement, again, let's go back to just my imagination and what I know of wildlife and fisheries and enforcement. There's how many fish do you have? Fish quantity. Of course, you can get you can receive a citation for DWI, or you can actually go to jail.
Absolutely.
In addition to search and rescue, but those are the things that many people know when they think of an enforcement agent.
Right. So we're the lead agency in Louisiana for search and rescue and litter enforcement as well. And as well as with the DWIs, what a lot of people don't realize is it's the same exact law. It's a criminal law. So it doesn't matter if you're on a public roadway, it doesn't matter if you're on private property, it doesn't matter if you're on a waterway. If you're on a means of conveyance, motorized object,
Yeah.
you can be charged for operating that vehicle while intoxicated. And that's something we look for heavily, especially during boating season. It's one of our main contributing factors with fatal boat accidents or all recreational boat accidents.
Right, right. And I mean, and we have summertime coming up, and people
Yes.
like to really have a good time in the
Yes.
waterway. You just have to do it safely.
Correct. It's extremely easy to pick a designated driver.
Yeah.
If you've had too much to drink or you've had anything to drink at all, why drive? It's a conscious decision.
Yeah, so the same things that apply when you're on the roadway,
Absolutely.
it applies on the waterway.
It makes it a little bit worse while you're on the water. You have all these other environmental factors. Dehydration from the sun, movement from the vessel, the wind, all these outside elements that you're not dealing with inside of a vehicle. It all takes a toll on you while you're on the water. Fatigue is just, everything's compounded.
Hey, I get fatigued on the boat when the wind is blowing.
Absolutely.
When I get home, I'm ready to go to sleep.
A lot of people think,
Yeah.
you have the best job in the world, which I do. I will argue that all day long. But they always follow it up with, you get to ride around in a boat all day. Well, let me tell you, some days I wish I could bring that average Joe person with me and let them see how long they can hang on for that patrol.
Right,
To see how much it wears you out.
And I know you're giving me a lot of great information, and that's going to be some of the information that is going to actually be relayed at the Boating Safety Education Day. So again, if you're interested, it's going to be Saturday, April 24th. There are at least 8 locations. There's one in St. Mary Parish, and you just need to register. Just go to that website there. We'll keep it up for a little bit so you can get all the information. And go to the link, find a course near you. And I just want to talk about this because you just touch my heart, because I am with Keep St. Mary Beautiful. So anytime someone's talking about litter abatement, it's like, yes. Let's kind of talk about that. We only have about a minute left.
Okay.
So you also enforce litter abatement on the
Absolutely.
Waterway.
Well, waterway, roadways,
That's
cane
right.
fields, it
Yes.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
When we find a litter pile, we're digging through it.
Yeah.
We're looking for information to see who left it.
Why do you think that is? And we've just had a litter enforcement or abatement day, trash bash in Morgan City. Very quickly, why do you think people don't
I think
pick
it's
up behind
lack of
themselves?
caring.
Yeah.
Lack of caring and laziness. We have public dump sites. Utilize them. It's simple.
Yeah.
You know, if you have the time to go dump it on the side of the road or in somebody's cane fields, it's the same amount of time to go dump it at a public facility.
I just want to make a suggestion, and maybe you have to tell it to your higher ups. I think we need more as far as signage. I think if we say you're going to get fined,
Absolutely.
and you're going to get fined a
Public
heavy
awareness.
penalty, we need to do that. Thank you very much
Yes,
for being
ma'am.
with us. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
We'll see you guys next time.